Live.
We're live.
We're live. We're live.
Okay, we're
Welcome,
live.
Kara Westerman. And we have a couple people joining already. How wonderful.
Oh, that's
Okay, well
funny.
that was quite fun trying to get that set up. We only started 28 minutes late.
Oh my God, I was stuck in virtual Google Meet, like all alone.
Oh well. So Kara Westerman, thank you so much for being here on Ford Knows.
Yeah, you're gonna have to move back a little because I can't see your
Oh,
full face, and I don't know if other people will. There we go.
better?
Yeah, this
Great.
is so trial and error. I love it.
I know. Well, it's the first Substack Live for both of us, and I'm just kind of looking to see here with
Oh,
what
there
I'm
are people
seeing.
joining. Awesome.
Couple few. Welcome everybody. Welcome. Thank you so much for being
Welcome.
here. So, Kara,
Actually,
we
I'm
have
Kara, but Kara is
uh,
fine. We've never actually, I don't think we've ever
we haven't talked
actually
about them.
spoken my name out loud, but yeah, it's Kara.
Kara. Okay, Kara. So tomorrow we have the second edition of the Road to Published coming out on Ford Knows.
That's right.
And it's actually going to be Ford Knows or excuse me, the Road to Published is usually it's a paywall. It's a thank you to paid subscribers of Ford Knows to thank them for their support. But the post going out tomorrow is going to be free for everybody, all subscribers of Ford Knows, and that's because I wanted everybody to get to know you a little bit and to introduce you and your work to them. And we're going to be doing a collaboration in the month of March, which we will talk about a little bit more. But the post tomorrow is going to be what's this? The post tomorrow is going to be about it's sort of a continuation. Last month, the post was about art and spirit, and it was talking a lot about what is art and how is it informed by the void, by the heart, by the mind, by the spirit, and
Right.
and and how art is informed by those things. And that led me to you because you are working on an extremely heart-centered project, and I'd love you to tell people about that a little bit.
Well, I just love that you feel that way about it. Do you know what I mean? It's like it's given me a vision of it that, like when you posed a few questions to me a few weeks ago about whether I felt like I had a mission and as I was thinking about it, I was like I really do feel like um giving the gift of this book to my husband who passed away in 2020 has just become such a major mission. Like it's kept me alive since he died, and it is from the heart. It really is. I well, anyway, should I say what it's about, or
Yes,
should
please do. Yeah.
okay, my husband was trans, and so when he died, I asked him before he died of cancer if I could use everything that I found to because I'm a writer, and he said yes. And what I found in the attic after he died was all of the writing and the letters and the family history that his mother had saved back through his great grandparents. It was sort of really incredible to find all this stuff, photographs of him as a girl, and I had seen photographs of him as a woman, but what I didn't realize is that he had like 8 iterations of a female. He was changing his name. He was changing his name like every couple of years because his father said, "Okay," you know? So he had a
Yeah.
lot of alter egos until he got to Nicholas at the age of 40. Um, and so that was common with, I mean, he wasn't hiding that. He was actually um the way we fell in love was I interviewed him, and I realized when I played back the interview that we had fallen in love, and it was a big fucking problem because he was married. And so, yeah. Anyway,
You just wrote about that. I think
it
the interview and meeting him at a 12-step meeting,
yeah,
and so I wonder, you mentioned the name of the project that the memoir. Although I'm not 100% sure if sort of the book project and the Substack project. You said that they're starting to sort of merge,
yeah.
and it was the Substack project kind of, which was what you called a suitable vessel for magic. Is that right?
Yeah, the book is called The Suitable Vessel for Magic. And the way I entered Substack like a year and a half ago was I was fearful to put the actual chapters of the book out. And so I had kept diaries after he died. Because after he died, I really dove into the spirit world. I wanted to know what death was and explore it, and I started practicing Tibetan Buddhism and lucid dreaming and having those experiences. And so I kept that journal of that sort of awakening in my life. So that's what the first chapters I published on Substack were. But now, as time goes on, and we're in this situation we are in the world, I just feel more and more like time is of the essence. And I really feel like, so the last 2 or 3 chapters I've published have been right from the meat of the book. And the one
Oh,
I'm publishing this coming week is from Nick's point of view. Because what I found in the attic were all of his attempts to write his own story. And so he talks to me. So I've taken liberty with his material to edit it and to frame it that he's talking to me from beyond the grave, and that I am talking to him in retelling our story to tell to him. So that's how we're communicating in these chapters. So of course it's not simple. My God. But
yeah. But the chapters are epistolary. They're written as like letters to Nick. Is that right?
a lot of them are. Yeah, a lot of them are, and that's what I'm trying to figure out on Substack is, like, it used to be called, Ghost Chapters from the Green Books because these books that I kept after he died happened to be green, and then I heard
Mhm.
Jung had red books, somebody else had black books, so I was like, "Okay, I've got green books." Um, and I was really editing those and serializing them on Substack to see what could go in the main body of the book. But now I'm just like, however I feel, I'm just editing the whole thing and putting chapters up. So Substack is really the editing engine of how I'm, you know, presenting the book and how I'm editing the book. I'm excited to move into his voice because I haven't done that yet. So
Yeah.
I
And is
thought maybe.
that's actual material? That's actual material that you're pulling from his journals and so forth?
Oh, yeah, that's how I realized we were co-creating this is because, a lot of it is I can read some of that, today, because there's a section his voice is beautiful, describing his childhood as a girl, and then a piece where I edited a little to have him talk to me. I feel like I
Mhm.
really have his voice, so and I ask a lot of permission along the way, like, "Nick, I hope this is okay. I don't remember this," or, "I'm making this up." Like, literally, I'm making this up because it's good for the book. And, I wrote recently that, like, I feel like the book has enough steam now that its ending is gonna write us. Like, it's carrying me now, all that
Yeah.
legwork of putting the memories down and collecting information, and now it's got a life of its own, which is super cool.
How
Oh,
far into it are you? What?
look at all the people who've joined. This is so cool.
Yeah,
I have
yeah.
like 400 pages of this book plus the
Oh my
diaries.
God.
Oh, yeah. It's like, come on. I have way, way too much material. My thing is, like, how to edit. I have way too much material.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a big project because it's the story of Nick's life from when he was little Jennifer Grimshaw to all the iterations. The point I was gonna what I was gonna say was you Nick tried on all these different identities, all these different names, and so forth. In much the same way you said that he loved to wear suits, bespoke suits, and dress up and do special things with his buttons and change out, the standard buttons with mother of pearl and all of that. And so I wonder if these kind of these names and these identities and so forth were kind of in the same way that he was trying on sort of different identities as he was making his way ultimately to Nick Grimshaw and your husband.
He was the bravest person I've ever met, and we met in AA, but then I was just writing that we were at a DA. I joined DA, which is the money program, the 12-step program that
Yeah,
deals with money and self-worth. And every night around the table, you would say, for the coming week, I'm going to do this, and you would create an affirmation like, I love Capital One, and Capital One loves me, or whatever it was. And he would always pause and get all gleamy in his eyes and say, "Surprise me." And I was just like, "Oh my God," to like tell the universe to surprise you and that you're ready for whatever's coming. Whoa. I was really probably fell in love with him then, but didn't know it until I listened back to the recording of our interview. And I was like, oh, fuck, no. Um, so I tried to keep it under my hat for a while because I knew I could hear the way we talked to each other that we had fallen in love, and he agreed after a couple
yeah,
hours.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. I saw that was in the chapter that you just posted actually on
It was,
on
and it's really interesting to post such intimate stuff.
on that. Yeah,
It's really interesting because
yeah,
not that I care about the reaction, but it's always nice to get, like, affirmation that people are like, "Oh." They can feel it. They can feel it transfer from us to the
yeah.
page, and yeah.
It's unique. I don't think I've never heard of a story where the wife of a trans man, talked about your life together. And how long were you actually together
We were
before Nick?
together for 5 years, but I knew him as a friend. I was friends with him and his wife, and we were in a pretty close circle in AA, and then we got surprised by, like, "Oh, shit, this is happening," and, like, "We've gotta catch up because we had no idea this was happening, but other people must have known," and but it was so because transformation to me is like magic. Like, I believe his ex-wife was willing to put up with it, but didn't necessarily want it telegraphed, whereas it was, like, literally my favorite thing about him, because, like, this is amazing. You're everything, and you're brave, and life we were always really fascinated about these transformations in life, so huge. Um, and we'd been through we'd rolled with so many punches that, "Uh-oh, am I unstable?
Looks like
I'm
a little bit.
unstable." Tell me when I'm back.
Seems like it's fine. Yeah, go on.
Okay, so that's what I was in love with, that just he was like this, like, brave human. He was just, like, up for whatever happened, and so there were no secrets. It wasn't like, "Oh, well, I have a dead name," even though when I first moved in, he wasn't very forthcoming, but after a while, he told me in the interview, he I was gonna read a piece about how he had had to cut the female out to become male, which is so much more. You have to lose so much, he said,
Yeah,
to the constraints of being male, whereas you kind of maybe on the other end, if you're becoming female, you might gain things, but he had a flamboyant, like, he loved perfume and nail polish and he was really Guinevere, was the previous incarnation to Nicholas, and she was quite something.
Will you include like photographs of all these identities?
I do have a couple of Gwennifer, sure, but so he had told me in the interview I had to cut so much out to become male, and I love it, um, but I wanna kind of merge the 2 back together, and I don't know how that's gonna happen, but I think I was part of that process because I loved all of it. Like, I loved how messy it was, and I think he had formerly felt that he was very broken, and I was just like, "Oh my god." Like, I don't see it as broken, I just see it as, like, amazing, so
Yeah, yeah. I would love it actually if you would read that passage that you were talking about.
okay, let me see if I can find it, and, maybe you wanna maybe we can tell people, what we're planning for the month of March, because I have to
We
look back.
could, we could.
Um, so would you Oh, yeah, I know where it is. Okay, it's in drafts. Substack's a little complicated, right? When you're trying to find your own freaking work, it's like, where is it? Okay, so this is some of Jennifer and my writing mixed together and then his writing.
Okay.
I wouldn't let you see pictures of me as a girl for a very long time. Even after we lived together, I kept my photo albums sequestered in the attic. You asked me early on in our love affair what my female name had been, and I told you pointedly, I don't remember. My perfect deadpan expression letting you know that it was funny and yet not funny at all. And you understood, Kara, not to ask again. I couldn't have told you who I was before I changed my name and my sex from female to male. Before I knew you, it was another lifetime, or 2, or 3. I was always transforming. That's why you fell in love with me. In order to begin my sex change at 40 years of age into the man you met at 60, it was imperative that I remove the female. I had to choose. I had to cut her out. Because in those days, there were 2 choices, right? And that meant forgetting her name. If I had suspected so much cutting was required, not only of the flesh, but of the psyche too, I might have hesitated more. I was well underway before I realized how regimented I would need to be in order to create a convincing version of masculinity. How disappointing that I had to forego almost every ounce of my flamboyance, my mane of hennaed hair, my scarves, perfumes, and nail polish. At birth, I was plain Jennifer, but you've likely now uncovered the many different aliases I used during my female life: Cheyenne, Chenille, Jackie Katz, Gabriel, Gabe, Jennifer Better, and Gwennifer before I chose Nicholas. Um, in
Oh,
different parts of
you've
her life.
frozen. Up there you go.
And then, let's see. Huh. He writes beautifully. Am I still frozen?
No, you're fine, I think.
So this is actually just Jennifer writing. I have scattered memories of normal life back in Newark, New Jersey, entering the kitchen by the dark back stairs. I had already put on my cowboy hat and 6 guns over my pajamas and taken the tall, dark back stairs up to see my best friend Betty and her husband Frank. She was a grown-up, and she would visit with me in the kitchen like an adult, make me weak tea with plenty of milk and sugar, and even breakfast. One day, my mother couldn't find me and came looking upstairs. Betty told her that I was a rail, and I knew what it meant. It was liar, spelled backwards. Betty was in some sort of complicity with my mother. It was my first friend's betrayal. Um, I remember Jimmy Stewart reading Winnie the Pooh and Woody Guthrie's Take Me Riding in a Car song, and how my mother studied modern dance with Woody Guthrie's wife, and my cat Sylvia, that I said comes in like a parade, and making shapes under the covers with my mother to frighten Daddy, and my mother's mother from Latvia bringing Breyer's vanilla ice cream with special dark flecks of real vanilla, the smart weed along the edges of the sidewalk in New Jersey, ball games on the radio, hearing Down and Dirty a lot, and the hard, sharp laughter and the snap of the cards on the tabletop when they played. Yeah, she's really quite a good writer.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, you both are actually. There's just something about the way you write. It reads to me like poetry, honestly.
Oh,
Um,
thank you.
it's what captured my attention from the get go. I was so confused for the longest time. I knew that you were writing a memoir about your husband who had passed. For some reason, I thought that you lived in Europe. And then you said you were going to Sicily in January, and I couldn't quite tell where you were, but you actually live in Southampton, is it?
I live in East Hampton and in
East
Nick's
Hampton.
family home that his great
Okay.
grandfather built. It's a little cottage here. So, but yeah, I've been trying to live warmer places in the winter. So last year, actually the last 2 winters, I've gone to Sicily. So
Oh,
it's, it's
okay.
really great there. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I wanted to just read something real quick. I've been reading Julia Cameron's The Right to Write. Of course, I did the Artist's Way, years and years ago,
I
and
did too.
yeah, I tried to anyway. I mean, you get a little ways into it, and then you start doing the morning pages, and then it just takes over your life,
It's true.
you know. But I don't even have a copy of that anymore. But I have this one, and I wanted to read just one little passage because every time I've been reading it, it's kind of like a book of prompts, and it just talks about how important it is to just get the words out, and that's a lot of what not the post I've got going out tomorrow with your contribution, but the month after is a lot about journaling, and we'll get to our collaboration and our special March project shortly. But I'm just going to read this one little section. It says the title is "Let Yourself Listen," and she says. One of the simplest and smartest things I ever learned about writing is the importance of a sense of direction. Writing is about getting something down, not about thinking something up. Whenever I strive to think something up, writing becomes something I must stretch to achieve. It becomes loftier than I am, perhaps even something so lofty it is beyond my grasp. When I am trying to think something up, I am straining. When, on the other hand, I am focused about just getting something down, I have a sense of attention, but not a sense of strain. Another way to think of it is that writing is the art of taking dictation, not giving it. When I listen to what I hear and simply jot that down, the flow of ideas is not mine to generate, but to transcribe. When, on the other hand, I struggle to write, it's because I'm trying to speak on the page rather than listen there. Once writing becomes an act of listening instead of an act of speech, a great deal of the ego goes out of it. Instead of self consciously thinking about the sentence I have written, I find myself amazed and interested by the sentences that seem to want to write themselves. Instead of being an act of pontification, writing becomes an act of revelation. This is true for any writer who lets writing write through them. We, the writers, as much as any reader, are in for the treat of discovering what comes next.
Letting
And
it
that,
surprise you.
yeah, and that just, I'm in this mode of, of listening, of, you know, channeling. I think of it in a lot of ways. It's like a channeling. And you're working on this project, a suitable vessel for magic, and it is a collaboration between
Yeah.
you and your husband. And so, and you've talked about how he has visited you in dreams. And there was something else you
And
mentioned.
physically, like, it freaked me out. I mean, he came a couple times and woke me up, and it was not just it was actually like the bed moved or I got a kiss on my forehead was the most beautiful gift, and I woke up frightened because, like, it wasn't it's there's a when it happens, you're like, "Oh, that's very different than if I imagined it happened or I dreamed it happened." So it was separate from the lucid dreaming, w which is a whole different subject, but these visits were so like, I still carry hold on to them like little pieces of, I don't know, miracle, but they were real, and I was like, "Okay." And I don't want the conversation to end, so this is my way of to keep talking, to him.
You had such a short time with him, you know.
Yeah, but it was, like, completely life-changing, completely, because we had always thought that our partners in the past had secretly wanted to kill us, like like, for real, like, "What's the evil plan today?" And he used to say to me things like, "Do you have any resentments against me?" And I'd be like, "No." "Do you have any against me?" "No." And we'd be like, "Oh my god." It was a revelation to find the right person for you, and, where there just wasn't any subterfuge, there wasn't any, like, agenda. It was really amazing, a feeling that neither of us had ever had before, so
Mhm.
and we were also exploring things, like, we were exploring lucid dreaming, we were exploring, all the books on the shelf, like, we were in a project to, I don't know, understand the world together, and I'm still involved in that, trying to understand death, and, but I loved
Yeah,
what you wrote because sometimes I think it's like a film, it's very cinematic, like, I can see the thing that I need to get down on paper, that I need to transcribe, and that it is coming like that. I don't think of it so much as listening, but seeing, and then that wonderful tension of how can I describe what I'm seeing is when I feel most excited about writing as opposed to, like she said, making it up. It's yeah, you kind of receive things, I think.
yeah, yeah. The picture, the picture I chose for the post tomorrow, the main picture was a picture that you said was of the cottage on Pleasant Lane. Is that right? And it's a picture in the dark of
Mm.
a bright window at night. And have you ever seen the movie Carrington?
Oh, is that about the Bloomsbury Group?
Yes, yes. And there's a wonderful
Yes.
scene in it. There's a wonderful scene in it where Emma Thompson, who plays Dora Carrington, the painter, right, and she is in love with Lytton Strachey, and but
Unfortunately, yeah.
he's gay, and
He's in love
so
with somebody
she,
else, yeah.
yeah, well, many someone else's, and she's walking around. It's actually, I believe it's Charleston Farmhouse, which was the home of Vanessa Bell, and Vanessa Bell was also in love with another gay guy, and they had a child together. But Carrington is walking around outside of the house at night, and the garden is, it looks like a beautiful garden. I've been there actually, and it is a beautiful garden. I'm not sure that's the actual house that they use in the movie, but she's
I
walking
remember it.
around and she's looking in, the camera is looking in all of the bright windows, and you see all the other couples, in their rooms, and talking, and getting ready for bed, and all that stuff. But she's outside by herself,
Mm.
looking in, and it's both so sad and yet so peaceful at the same time. And I saw that image that you posted of, I think it's that cottage that you're in right now, isn't it?
There's a front cottage and then what we call the studio, which is where I am in the summer when I rent the front house out. That's how
Okay.
I'm able to live here, and, yes, it was a hot summer night, and we had sort of an obsession with viewing our lives from a distance, like, being in the back cottage and viewing our life in the front house or vice versa, so, yeah, it does have that for sure, that energy, um,
I
and I
just had
think
this sense of I just had this sense that it was almost like the view that Nick might have, coming to you in the night, so to speak, and seeing, the bright window and you inside.
there was so much of our we had a group that he started called the Genius File. And whenever one of us would find a piece of music or writing or dance, the other would say, "You got to see this," and then the other one would say, "Put it in the Genius File." And then we were trying to start this group in that back cottage where once a month we would have friends come and we would do this presentation. There's usually a piece of music, a piece of writing, and a visual piece, and there would be a theme, and then we'd talk. And everybody thought we invited them because they were geniuses, but no, we invited them to share what was in this Genius File, and we just called it the Genius File. And, but everybody felt very great to be there, and, anyway, so there was a lot of us in that back cottage,
Your
and a
own
lot.
little Bloomsbury group.
Oh, yeah, and it was his ex-wife who made that into the paradise that it is, because she's a very talented painter and encaustic artist, and that was her studio, so,
Oh, wow. So
yeah.
there was a post where you talked about Nick hand picking. What are they? Celandines? Is that what I?
Oh, the celandine buttercup, oh, it's an
The
invasive
buttercups.
species, yeah, oh my god.
And there's a picture of him like down on like practically laying down underneath a
He
tree,
weeded
picking
the
out.
lawn by hand, okay? I mean, I think that his obsession with these repetitive things was his soothing gesture. He took this house back from the family and revived the life in it because it had become very, overgrown and stuff, but I think that's why he wasn't able to write his book, so sometimes I'm out there yelling at him like, "Look, I can't weed the garden, I'm weeding a book, like, I'm a book weeder, and you were" like, he would be up at, like, the crack of dawn, these old khaki shorts and knee pads and barefoot, and he would be out in that garden all day long, trying to get this there's no way to get the celandine buttercup out of the lawn. It's impossible,
They
but that was
they
his
have
task. And this
we
is
have something
mine.
similar in California, actually. The
Oh.
Bermuda buttercup, oxalis. Oh my God, it goes everywhere.
And each
It's
spring,
impossible.
each spring, I have another heart attack. I'm like, oh my god, what am I gonna do?" Like, we dug it up one year after he died. We like, 3 of us were out there with shovels, like, "We can't let this happen." But now I'm just like, "You know what? I'm making a book."
Yeah, there you go. So let's talk about Writer's Daily Dive briefly, and then we'll talk about my our collaboration that we're doing. So Writer's Daily Dive is the writers group that you do Monday through Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern time. And so for free subscribers, you're welcome to join for the first week, I think you say.
Basically, I give the Zoom link for free, and it's sort of if you feel like it has value for you and you wanna pay the $10 a month because the value for me is that I needed to show up to my book every day, and the only way I could figure out to do it was like, with a knife over my head, like, I have to show up because other people are showing up, so I feel like it's actually my group that's helping me write my book, so if you feel it has value for you, then, so yeah, anybody can join for free and see if it works for them, but just showing up every day for, like, a year and a half for me has changed my life.
That's kind of amazing. And it's like it's 5 days a week. It's Monday through Friday, every
Yeah, and
Monday through Friday.
I don't think
One
I've
to
missed a day, no matter if I've been in Sicily or France or so it moves with you. If I'm in an airport in Rome, I think I did it once. So, um,
yeah,
but the other thing is that it's not a group. There's no, it's just a destination and a space. So you don't have to worry. You don't have to read it out loud. You don't have to be working on something. You can come and sit there and suffer. Like, it's just space for you.
that's wonderful. Yeah, I loved it when we did it. It's you get on the call at 1, you chat for a few minutes, and then you mute and you write for an hour,
Yeah, and it's
and then
really fun
and
to
then you
watch
don't
other
even
writers.
yeah, and then you don't even share at the end. So because it's just like as you say, it's a destination, it's a space. So
Right.
our collaboration then, what we're going to be doing is because um, uh, not the post tomorrow, but the post for the Road to Publish, which is my series about basically going from, for myself at any rate, wanting to start writing at a young age, reading Harriet the Spy and saying that's the life for me, and then um, being having writer's block for 34 years before I finally during lockdown actually was able to write my first novel. And so this the road to published is the is sort of a combination of narrative as well as exploration, and it's not a how to, it's a it's an invitation to people to come along on this journey along with me and together, and to explore all these different things that have come up. I'm writing right now. My book Lamb is coming out on June 1st, and so I'm right
Wait,
now.
you've picked a date that far ahead? Like, you've committed?
Oh, well, I mean, June 1st is like right around the corner. Most people that have their books published know, a year, 2 years, or whatever. I'm publishing independently, so I can pick the date. You know what I mean? But it's actually a very, very short timeline. But so June 1st, Lamb will be available as an ebook, as a print book, and
Wow,
but anyway,
that's
so
great.
all of these things that have come up, I just had headshots done, and that was a mind trip. I'm working with a,
Yeah.
a cover artist right now, and so
Oh,
anyway,
that's
so this
amazing.
is this is the sort of the story and the invitation to come along on this ride, and for other people that want to do the same thing. And so anyway, so next month is going to be about journaling, because during those 34 years that I had writer's block, the one thing I did do consistently over 3 decades was to journal. And so I thought, after these initial couple of posts, I wanted to, talk about journaling. And so that's why I started reading this Julia Cameron book and so forth. So what we are doing in the month of March, you and I, as a collaboration between Troy Ford and Ford Knows and Kara Westerman and Writer's Daily Dive, is on Saturday mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern Time.
Did we pick Saturday? I thought we picked Sunday.
Do
It
you
doesn't
want to
matter
do it
to me.
Sunday?
No, no, whatever. You're probably better. You probably wrote this down. So
I
I,
think
I
I
just I defer to you.
did. So anyway, okay, we'll say Saturday.
Okay,
Saturdays
Saturday.
at
Yeah.
11 a.m. We're going to have a free writing group for anybody that wants to join, and whether you're a subscriber of Ford Knows or Kara Westerman Substack or whatever. And but we're going to do it a little bit different, right? We're going to get on the call. We're going to chat for a few minutes, and then we're doing kind of a power write. We're going to do 12 minutes.
That was
And
the
as you said,
secret
you can
sauce
get an
for
amazing
my
amount.
yeah,
You can
that
get an
was
amazing
what
amount.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
written in just 12 minutes. And then, and there will be a prompt if anybody needs it. So, and this will be on a Zoom call, the Writer's Daily Dive Zoom call, Zoom
Yeah, the
number.
Zoom link, yes.
It'll be in the post tomorrow. Yeah. And so, and then after the 12 minutes, we're going to share. Anybody who wants to, you don't have to. So if you want to share what you wrote, then you're welcome to do that. And the only feedback we're allowed to give is thank you.
Okay.
That's all we're going to do. And so it's going to be a little bit, I think, a shorter format than the usual Writer's Daily Dive. It'll be just, maybe, I don't know how long, it will be maybe half an hour, 45 minutes or whatever. But this is an experiment and a thank you to
Yeah.
both the people that regularly tune into Writer's Daily Dive as well as to all the subscribers to Ford Knows to join us and just have a little fun on the page.
Absolutely, because the way it started was at a writing group years ago here, and our friend who's now passed, he used the 12 minutes, and the idea was like write as fast as you can to outrun the editor, because different people have
Right,
different styles, but a lot of people there's an editor that jumps in and goes, "Oh, you can't say that." So the idea is to write faster than the critic.
right. And so, yeah, I mean, if you want to get something down in 12 minutes, then you got to start writing, and you got to just keep writing until the 12 minutes. I know from my meditation practice that 12 minutes can actually seem like quite a long time.
But not when you're writing, it really flies.
No, that's
And
it'll go fast.
the idea that you need to be able to withstand the shitty first draft is
Oh yeah,
primo, right? Because Nick, I think that's what he said to me ultimately is I can't bear the first draft. I can't get through it, but you got to.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, you really do. So this will be an experiment. Anybody who's hesitating about wanting to write, and I know there's at least one friend I know who mentioned that that he was interested in writing, he wanted to write, but just start. And so this is for you,
Well,
and
it's
for
like just
anybody who
reading
just
about Hitler, something like, when he went to architecture school in Vienna and he was taking drawing courses and he just, so somebody had posted the other day on notes. In other words, it was easier for Hitler to start World War II than to face the blank page. It's like there's nothing
oh God,
more daunting than facing that blank page. And doing it
oh
with
dear,
others is really
okay,
helpful. Sorry.
very good. That's
I
okay.
don't know who posted that, but it was perfect. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Good. Well, I think, we had a hell of a time getting this call started at the beginning. So we're going to end it here now. But Kara Westerman, thank you. Kara, excuse me, Kara
I'll
Westerman,
accept
thank you
either.
so much. Thank you so much for joining me on this, and
Thank
thanks for
you.
everything that we've done together in this last month or so. I've gotten to know you so well, and you truly are a friend, and I've been having such a good time with you. So,
I
and there's
feel the
another
same
video
way.
on the post tomorrow as
Oh,
well that we
that's
had a
right. We
chat.
did another one.
We
I
did
mean,
another
I
one as
would
well.
not be
So,
doing this without you. I would just be like, "Oh, no, no, no." So you're really bringing me out. So it's great. It's great.
oh good, oh good. All
Kisses.
right. All right, kisses to you. All right, and thank you everyone who joined us today. We really appreciate your being here for our first live Substack live session, Kara and I, and thank you all so much for being here. Take care and
Bye,
be well.
guys.
Ciao.
Ciao.